Hey, good morning, ELA family. It is time to get back to our ELA 9B lessons. We are going to move on to our next essay, which is to write a narrative essay on overcoming a challenge. So I've started our little document right here behind me. Let me get myself off the screen. And as you can see, I've written down the prompt on the screen. We're going to write a narrative essay about overcoming a challenge. The other thing I would like to do is click over first to the Purdue Owl. Now, of course, we've been using the Purdue Owl throughout our essay videos. So the first thing we're going to look up is what is a narrative essay? And the minute I start to type in narrative, it autofills for me, and I have a bit about narrative essays right here. So we're going to read this aloud together, and we will get this sorted out. So what is a narrative essay? When writing a narrative essay, one might think of it as telling a story. These essays are often anecdotal, experiential, and personal, allowing students to express themselves in creative and quite often moving ways. So when we talk about anecdotal, experiential, and personal, those almost mean the same thing, okay? Anecdotal means it's a personal story, okay? It's being told first person. Experiential means it refers to your life experience. It's a true experience you've had. And it's personal to you. You're not writing about somebody else's experience, you're writing about your own. So here are some guidelines for writing a narrative essay. If written as a story, the essay should include all the parts of the story. Remember, we've learned that this means that you should include an introduction, plot, characters, setting, a climax, and conclusion. When would a narrative essay not be written as a story? A good example of this is when an instructor asks a student to write a book report. We don't do a whole lot of book reports these days, but I did a lot of book reports back in olden times. Obviously, this would not be necessarily, it wouldn't follow the pattern of a story because it's more of a summary, and it would give focus on an informative narrative for the reader, telling them about the story, what the story's about. So the essay should have a purpose. We're going to make a point. Think of this as the thesis of your story. There is no point to if there's no point to what you are narrating, why narrate it at all? Exactly. No one wants to hear a boring story. There should be a lesson. The essay should be written from a clear point of view. So it's quite common for narrative essays to be written from the standpoint of the author. However, this is not the only perspective to be considered. Creativity in narrative essays oftentimes manifests itself in the form of authorial perspective. This means that you could write from an all-knowing source, like God is telling the story about you, or you could write it from the first person, which means you would say, I did this, I did that. Use clear and concise language throughout the essay. Much like the descriptive essay, narrative essays are effective when language is carefully, particularly, and artfully chosen. Use specific language to evoke specific emotions and senses in the reader. We'll get more into that when we start working on our draft together. So the use of the first person pronoun I is welcomed. We're not going to abuse this guideline. We don't want it to be like I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. It's welcomed. It's not totally necessary. It should not be overused or for lack of clearer diction, which would be clearer word choice. Again, it could be told from the all-knowing point of like God. So it doesn't have to be in the first person. And as always, you're going to be organized. We're going to have a clear introduction that sets the tone for the remainder of the essay. Do not leave the reader guessing as to the purpose of the narrative. Remember, you are in control of the essay, so guide it just where you desire and make sure your audience can follow your lead. So, going back over, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on our pre-writing today. And taking some of those tips, we're going to think about the challenges that we may have to write about in our own lives. So, I'll start with a challenge that really was a big one for me when I was in high school. I'm going to say loss of a parent. This could either be through death, divorce, incarceration. My mom died of a rare illness. So that could be something I could write about. I could write about illness in the family because, again, my mom was sick. I will say how it affects us. We could write about the time we won something. Let's go with a cheerful type of narrative. How about maybe working toward winning? you won a prize or achieved a goal. I'll just put this here too, achieving goals. What could these goals be? Riding a bike, losing weight, gaining weight, we could say getting good grades. We could talk about the loss of a relationship. This could be romantic. This could be friendship. This could be a family member that you lost the relationship with. What else would be a great challenge to write about? Learning to drive, overcoming a fear or obstacles. I'll just go with what they're recommending there for me. Thanks, Google. Overcoming obstacles. Again, that kind of goes towards working towards winning, but just a different way of saying it. Maybe learning how to be in a relationship. Sometimes we learn a lot about ourselves when we have someone else to reflect that for us. So this is a pretty good list that we have going for our pre-writing this week. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. So, for all of you, there I am. So, for all of you following along, thank you very much. And we will get on to the next part of this next week. We'll choose a topic, we'll get a thesis going, and we'll start with our intro. So, be thinking about what kind of challenge you would write about, and I will be thinking about it also. See you guys soon. Bye.